What's up, y'all? How we doing? Um, y'all already know Mr. Asensio, all that stuff. We'll talk about the Cowboys right now, but I have to at least touch on what happened last night. Um, all my thoughts, all the positive energy that I could possibly send to this individual situation and his family. Sending it. I mean, that's why I'm kind of doing this video. Not to say that anyone remotely close to the situation will see this, whatever. But at the end of the day, if I could send some type of positivity to another individual watching and just try to pay it forward in that regard. Before I get off of this topic, I mean, it just makes you realize that, like, here I go being a fan, about to talk about some fanatical stuff, frustration of my team for not performing a certain way, and they're out there risking their lives. Like it got took to that point. Like, now that frustration that I had as a fan, right? Understandably so as a fan. Now I don't know if it's so understandable. Now I don't know if I even want to be as frustrated about my squad or have that turn into an appreciation for what they do every Sunday, Monday night, Thursday night. They go out there, they are risking their lives, so I just had to touch on that. I had to say that. With all that being said, let's talk about these Cowboys. Once again, eventually my excitement will come back, but it's a difficult thing, man. Anywho, so we played the Titans. Thursday night football, last Thursday night game of the year, right before New Year's weekend. Another reason why you guys are getting the video, the reaction video now. One thing about being a YouTube content creator is you are your own boss, and I take holidays. So I wasn't gonna give you guys my reaction any sooner than today. I mean, let's talk about it. I think initially, right, you look at it and you say, okay, Cowboys didn't play up to the standard that we have set for them, right? I think Minnesota Vikings game, that's like the standard. And anytime they fall short of playing that type of football, we all have concerns. We're not entirely convinced that these Cowboys can make a run. I get it. I watched it. I'm a fan. I wasn't completely happy the entire game. But we gotta add context. First thing to point out, right? A contextual clue on why we may have showed up and not play as good as we thought we could have as fans, right? It was a quick turnaround game. I mean, it was not a Sunday to Thursday, it was a Saturday to Thursday. But again, I had mentioned that these boys had played 2 stretches this year where it was 3 games in 12 days. So it's a lot to ask, you know what I mean? As much as there is being said to the Titans not having starters and playing and all this other stuff, I mean, they still have players that have been there all throughout the season, practicing, playing. I mean, these guys are gonna play physical. The head coach, Vrabel, don't know how to say his name quite correctly, but his team plays tough. His team plays hard for him. And we got a physical outing, you know what I mean? Like, a lot of players were dropping too, injury-wise. And that's something to look at. We're dealing with the attrition right now of a 18 game football league, or what is it now? 17 games? 17, 18? I don't know at this point again, man. It's been a weird day. Do we want to see that going into the playoffs? Of course not. You know, some teams are getting more healthy going into the playoffs. Some teams are getting less healthy. Right now, we're on that end of the spectrum where our team is dealing with a lot more injuries than players returning. So definitely of concern, but a point to bring up because, again, we can't expect our team to always perform like they did against the Minnesota Vikings. Even though these guys are backups, right? Like, for instance, Titans had a lot of offensive linemen that were out. So why aren't our Cowboys, our defensive line, still have DeMarcus Lawrence in there, still have Michael Parsons? Why aren't they getting home? Right? You would think, oh, well then it's just they should be frothing at the mouth and they should have had like 8 sacks. Don't work like that. You know what I mean? These backups, they're also trying to showcase their skills. They're also trying to be starters eventually. You know what I mean? And sometimes they have starter potential. For whatever reason, they're not one on the depth chart. But these players, they go out there and they play with pride. And you could imagine extra motivation and extra energy to go out there and beat the Cowboys. You kidding me? You're telling me that if I block Michael Parsons very well during this game, that this can possibly not just ensure me a spot on the team next year, but elevate the prospects of me again being looked at as a starter? You know, like, all that stuff has to be taken into account. Now, I guess we could talk about some of the mistakes. We could talk about Dak throwing 2 picks again. If we can't tell that the first interception wasn't Dak's fault and it was Hendershot's fault for not being able to make the catch, I don't know what we're doing here. There were some mistakes that he did make. I mean, he did make that one interception that was just inexcusable. And then in regards to the fumbled snap, that's probably like 50-50. You know, as the quarterback, probably should have recognized the angle your center was going to take in his block. So how that related to how the snap was going to come off. If you play football, if you understand football, then you know what I'm talking about. I think there was an adjustment that the center did pre-snap that caused confusion on how the snap was received by Dak and caused the fumble. Outside of that, Dak played a very good game. But again, how do we gauge that? He's playing against backups and all that stuff. Backups that are very motivated. So it's a tough one. It's a tough game to dissect. It's a tough game to gauge where our team is at. Not saying that all the players that were on the field for the Titans were backups. There were starters. Byard being one of them. He was the one who had the interception. Might have had both, but he had one of them for sure. That fool is a stud. That fool is a ball hawk safety. So it's not like we didn't get looks against premier players. I guess, you know, one positive I could take out of it that you do like to see, that I was mentioning in my prior videos too, is seeing T.Y. Hilton and Dak Prescott just kind of, you know, play a little bit more together. Again, I wasn't expecting Dak and company and a lot of starters to play the entire game. They played the entire game. Wasn't expecting that. I guess we're very committed to the idea of playing to win and controlling what we can control, which now segues perfectly into this whole playoff picture. Currently, we are the 5th seed. We are playing Tampa Bay in Tampa. That's if the season ends today, right? Now, going forward, we still do have the opportunity to win the division and get the first seed. Let's first look at the scenario that needs to take place for us to win the division, and we'll just keep it at that for now. We'll talk about the first seed right now. To win the division, we still need the Eagles to lose their last game against the Giants, and we need to win against the Commanders. Possible. Very possible. I think going into this current week, we felt that the Eagles against the Saints was going to be the most problematic to make that happen. And well, the Saints beat the Eagles. Apparently Jalen Hurts might be playing this upcoming week against the Giants. Who knows? At this point in time, won't even be getting into that. We'll do that in the preview. But if they drop this game and we win out, we get the division, that gives us at least one home game, right? All division winners get a home game. But who would we be playing against? That's where things get tricky. The matchup is not as clear, just us being the division winner. It would be a lot more clear if we were also to win the first seed. Because at least with the first seed, you know we don't have a matchup the first week, right? We'd be playing the lowest seed, winner of the wild card. So at least with that, there's more of a black and white answer to, you're getting the first seed, getting the bye week. If you just get the division, it's a home game against who? I don't know. And then if we get locked into where we're at now, right? None of these scenarios play out and we're just locked in the 5th seed, play against Tampa. In Tampa. How do we get the first seed? That one is pretty simple. All you got to do is add a San Francisco loss. They got to lose against the Arizona Cardinals. I mean, look, J.J. Watt is retiring. Who knows? Maybe he goes off. You know what I mean? Maybe he has a farewell game, last game of his career. He just, I don't know, does J.J. Watt things of old. That would be cool. So coming into next week, we are rooting for San Francisco to lose, the Eagles to lose, and for the Cowboys to win. That's it. Keep it simple for y'all. I mean, that's your rooting guide. You know what I mean? I did my best, y'all. It's been a crazy morning, crazy start to the day. Once again, I hope Mr. Hamlin pulls through. And that's about it for me. I appreciate y'all. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. I'm out. Laters.